For more than 6 decades, Angie Dickinson has refused to watch the film that made her a household name. Not because she hated the movie, not because of some studio scandal, but because watching it feels like reopening a wound that never fully healed. Now at 93, the Hollywood icon has finally broken her silence about the real reason she can't bear to see Rio Bravo again, and what it reveals is more heartbreaking than anyone ever expected. Before she was Angie Dickinson, the sultry, self-assured star known for shattering stereotypes, she was just Angeline Brown. Born in the small town of Culm, North Dakota on September 30th, 1931, Angie grew up far from the glamour of Hollywood. Her father ran a local newspaper. Her mother managed the chaos of raising 4 daughters. It was a modest, sometimes difficult life, made even tougher by the Great Depression. But when Angie was 10, her family made a move that would change everything. They left the cold plains of North Dakota and headed west to Burbank, California. In Burbank, Angie didn't chase fame. She wasn't a child star. She studied, she read, and she dreamed of being a writer, just like her dad. She attended Glendale Community College, then earned a business degree from Immaculate Heart College in Los Angeles. Her plan was simple: get a job, maybe write for a paper, and live a quiet life. But fate had other ideas. On a whim, she entered a local beauty pageant in 1953. She didn't win, but she didn't have to. One look at her on stage and casting directors took notice. Television gigs came first, small roles, background parts, but it wasn't long before Angie's natural charisma and her unmistakable beauty caught fire in Hollywood. Her first film role came in 1954's Lucky Me, and soon she became a familiar face in westerns, often playing sharp, independent women who weren't afraid to stand their ground. These weren't damsels in distress, they were women with grit, women who, in many ways, mirrored Angie herself. Then came 1959, the year everything changed. Howard Hawks cast her in Rio Bravo, opposite screen giants John Wayne and Dean Martin. But the most surprising co-star? A soft-spoken 18-year-old teen idol named Ricky Nelson. Angie played Feathers, a witty, flirtatious gambler who becomes romantically entangled with Wayne's sheriff. It was the biggest role of her life, and it terrified her. Privately, Angie was filled with doubt. She didn't think she was ready. She worried she couldn't keep up with legends like Wayne or Martin. Her acting, she believed, was raw, uneven, unpolished. And though critics and audiences adored her performance, Angie couldn't watch herself without cringing. For years, she avoided Rio Bravo for one reason. She didn't want to see what she considered a weak, insecure version of herself. But that's not the whole story. Not even close. Because Rio Bravo was also where she met Ricky Nelson. He was just a teenager. She was in her late 20s. On paper, they couldn't have been more different. He was a pop sensation thanks to his role on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet and a string of hit songs. She was a rising actress with something to prove. But on that set, something clicked. There was no scandal, no public romance, but there was a bond. A deep, quiet connection that stayed with her for the rest of her life. She described him as kind, gentle, wise beyond his years. He had a sort of calm about him that made even the chaos of a movie set feel peaceful. He listened. He smiled. He never once acted like a star. Angie has said that watching Rio Bravo now would be like watching a ghost. Seeing Ricky, young, alive, filled with promise, is simply too much. His tragic death in a plane crash in 1985 left her shaken. She never really got over it. Even now, the thought of watching him on screen brings back a mix of joy and unbearable sadness. As her career took off, Angie didn't just lean into Hollywood glamour, she redefined it. Throughout the 60s and 70s, she moved effortlessly from noir thrillers like The Killers to high-profile ensembles like Ocean's 11, rubbing shoulders with the Rat Pack and becoming close friends with Frank Sinatra. She wasn't just a leading lady, she was a force. And in 1974, she did something few actresses had ever done. She took the lead in a gritty TV drama, Policewoman, playing Sergeant Suzanne Pepper Anderson. That show wasn't just a hit, it was a revolution. Angie's portrayal of a tough, complex female cop inspired a generation of women to consider careers in law enforcement. It earned her a Golden Globe, multiple Emmy nominations, and a permanent spot in television history. But even as she kicked down doors on screen, Angie was quietly battling personal storms off camera. Her first marriage to college football star Angie Dickinson ended in 1960. The name, though, stuck and eventually became iconic. In 1965, she married Burt Bacharach, the legendary composer behind hits for Dionne Warwick and Dusty Springfield. Together, they seemed unstoppable, beautiful, glamorous, untouchable. But behind the magazine covers and red carpet appearances, their life was anything but perfect. Their daughter Nikki was born in 1966. From the start, Nikki struggled. She was later diagnosed with autism, a condition few understood at the time. Angie became her fiercest advocate, her most devoted caregiver. She stepped back from acting to focus on her daughter's needs. It wasn't easy, and it didn't end the way any parent hopes. Angie was shattered. "There's nothing worse," she later said, "than outliving your child." It was a grief she carried quietly, with the same grace and dignity that defined her public life. But it changed her. You can see it in the way she talks, the way she moves. There's a weight she never quite put down. Still, she found moments of light. In the 1980s, she had a joyful, short-lived relationship with singer Billy Vera. In the 90s, she dated talk show legend Larry King. They never married, but they remained close. He often spoke of her with admiration, of her intellect, her wit, and her fire. But behind every relationship, behind every role, there was always Rio Bravo and Ricky. For years, Angie refused to talk about him publicly. She dodged questions, she smiled politely, but she never opened up, until now. At 93, she says the silence was never about shame. It was about protection, for herself, for Ricky's memory, for the piece of her heart that still breaks when she hears his voice. She describes their connection as pure, uncomplicated, a moment in time that never needed labels. They were friends, confidants, kindred spirits, and maybe, just maybe, something more. But what mattered was the feeling, the comfort, the quiet understanding they shared, something rare in a town built on noise. Breaking that silence, Angie says, is her way of honoring Ricky. Not the pop star, not the actor, but the person. The boy with the shy smile and the kind heart. She wants people to remember that side of him, the side few ever saw. And she wants people to understand why she can't watch Rio Bravo. Because for Angie Dickinson, that film isn't just a Western. It's not just her big break. It's a time capsule, a frozen frame of a life she once lived, a reminder of innocence, insecurity, and the bright light of a young man who left this world far too soon. She's made peace with the past, but she has no desire to relive it. Some things, she says, are better left unwatched. Angie Dickinson's story isn't just about fame. It's about sacrifice, about grief, about the private battles behind public success. It's a reminder that the brightest stars often carry the heaviest burdens, and that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to walk away, even if it means never watching the film that started it all.